la 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 la. Oh, la 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 la. Oh, la 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 la. Oh, la 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 la.
Hi, this is Darian Lananovan. I am the founder of I Am Man and I'm also the ambassador of the Gentleman's Club. Welcome back to our next episode of I Am Man. Today's episode, gentlemen, is going to be about provide. Provide is one of the most essential factors in a man's life. Now, gentlemen, I'll tell you something about myself that I experienced when I was a bit younger. And this was basically me being unemployed for some time. Obviously, I saw my peers, I saw my brothers, my siblings, I saw my friends, I saw people becoming very successful in life. And at the time, I wasn't as a success. I was still struggling to find employment. And it kept on coming down on my head where I had these thoughts of, I need to provide, I need to help some way or somewhat. And the fact that I couldn't provide, it led to a very depressive time of my life. And in that moment, there's something that came through to me that I learned about providing. And this thing is what I'm going to be speaking to you about. That there are two sides to provide, which is providing materialistically and providing mentally. Now, I suppose during the time or during the journey that I was unemployed, which was about 3 years or so, I had to figure out as a man how to play the role of a provider mentally to make sure that I balance myself out with my masculinity, positive masculinity, of course. Now, during that time, I learned that there are many ways to tap into providing mentally. If you can't provide physically, if you can't provide materialistically, you can provide mentally by teaching others, by advising others, by grooming others, by helping them through tough times, by being an example of what a good man should be or how you treat others. And this is providing knowledge to others as well in order to guide them in their lives. This could go to a little child, or it could go to your friends or to your peers, or whoever it may be, or it can even go to your spouse, the person that you are in a relationship with. Providing has a lot of aspects to it. And I just wanted to speak about that at first because I feel like a lot of us men put a lot of pressure on ourselves in regards to providing when it comes to materialistically. But from now on, men, I hope and I pray that you understand that providing doesn't necessarily have to just focus on the material things. You can provide mentally as well. I'll give you another example in regards to maybe you have a spouse and they need assurance from you. They need your love, they need guidance, they need your attention. All of these are ways of providing, you see, when we speak about mentally. Now, let's switch over to the physical part and the materialistic part and why it's so important for a man to be a provider. Now, these two can play either one or the other, but it's important that you tap into at least one of them. All right, gentlemen. So now let's look at the physical part, the materialistic part. It comes down to survival. Survival, man, is basically focused on the survival of the human race. Now, if we want to survive as a man, which is yourself, you need to be able to provide for yourself. You can't have somebody else provide for you because you as a man, you need to walk your journey, you need to walk your path. And if we had to look back, maybe let's say about maybe a few thousand years when we were still hunting, it would be your responsibility to feed yourself. So that's where provide comes in. So you as a man need to take the initiative and go out and figure out a way how to provide for yourself. Now, it becomes a little tougher when you also need to provide for your family, because in survival of a race, you need a man and you need a woman to procreate, which means that if we want to exist and continue to exist, this eventually has to happen, which means that you as the man will be forced by nature to take up your responsibility as a provider. And how does this happen? I'll give you an illustration. When a man and a woman get together and they have a kid, and maybe the woman is, let's say, about 7 months pregnant. All right. When she's 7 months pregnant, you got to think back to that time at the mere fact that it wasn't easy to give birth. It wasn't easy to be pregnant at the time because there was no hospitals. There was no medication in terms of what we have right now, the tablets. There was no surgery that could have been done with her. You see, there was no pills that could make things easier for her throughout the day or throughout the months even. You see, so naturally she had to have the least pressure on her as possible. And that was the responsibility of the man, to take as much pressure on his shoulders for him to provide for her in a sense where she doesn't need to worry about food. So, for example, he would go out hunting. It's impossible for a woman at that time to actually hunt and have a 7-month-old baby in her stomach. She can't run off the animal. You can think for yourself and literally think about it practically in your mind that this is not possible for a woman. That's when we speak about the force of nature forcing you to activate this pillar. So this man had to activate this pillar of provide in his life because he knew that in order for this to be a safe birth of his child, right, he had to go out and hunt and bring back something to provide for his woman. And this is where it comes to understanding the importance of providing as a man. Now, as I said earlier in my illustration that I spoke to you guys about, that for a man as well, mentally it's important to provide and physically. If you can do both, 100%, keep on pushing and keep on being that type of provider that we were meant to be as men, right? But if you can only do one, that's also 100%. As long as you tap into one, that will make you a well-balanced man. Gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this episode of I Am Man. This is the ambassador of the Gentlemen's Club and the founder of I Am Man.